go.
Nobody's catching.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Big Bend Fishing Report. We are in Keaton Beach at the Keaton Beach Trading Post. I'm Captain Kenny Mullins. This is Captain Pat McGriff. So, you fished today, Pat?
Yep, we did. We fished. Caught live pinfish. We fished about 4 hours. We had a shortened trip because of the heat, and my client was recovering from an illness, and he was not really healthy. We caught 6 nice keeper trout. We lost one good one at the boat. Caught everything on pinfish. I caught I think I had 9 or 10 short trout on Stinky Pink. They were hitting Stinky Pink, bounced on on an 1/8 ounce. I didn't get a chance to fish any cork and plastic, but like I said, we caught some nice trout and missed a lot of fish. We had a lot of bites. Best bite was around 10 to noon. I think the low was 8 o'clock, so it was a couple hours in there before we really started getting a bite. And I didn't try to redfish. Like I said, I had a shortened trip. I was planning to go look and fish a couple more areas, and we ended up coming in early. So, but we had a good time and caught plenty of fish.
Hey, Terry Griggs, he's on. Yeah, I didn't get out there today. I got the boat ready this morning and I had to go do the Big Bend Outdoors radio show with Joel, and I was going to take the boat out when I got done with that, and just everything ran behind. Playing catch up from vacation,
Right.
and now
You just got home, what, 2 days ago?
2 days ago. It was like 11:30 at night.
Well,
So spent all day yesterday catching up on yard work.
Your dog's glad to see you.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's So I got to fish tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then I got a break until the following Saturday, which is opening day of scallop season. I know you're excited about that.
I'm so excited.
um, so yeah, before I left my last trip, I had live pinfish. Let's see, we didn't catch. I think we caught one keeper trout on live pinfish on that trip, and then we caught. Then I tried cutting some up, and we didn't do too good on that. And then we started throwing plastics, and we started catching them. But we're in the full on summer bite.
Oh yeah, it's changed. Everything is completely different than it was uh, Memorial Day weekend. Even I've tried deep areas, bouncing yesterday, scouting. Couldn't catch. I caught one trout out in deep water, one keeper, and I don't think we caught 3 other shorts, and we caught a few short blacks. Fish seemed to have moved off those areas. There was no bait. I didn't see any bait for 2 days. It's water super hot, 85, 86 degrees, according to Don Garner, my buddy from Valdosta.
I would have thought it'd been hotter than that because when I left, it was 86, 87.
Well, we had a good couple of rains too.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a really good rain at the beach. What, 3 days, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. It came down harder than it did at my house at Ocean Pond. But yeah, we've had. It may have been warmer than that in the afternoons, but
Yeah.
that's what he was telling me. He was reading. Mine's kaput. Mine quit working a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
My temperature gauge. I doesn't matter. Once it gets 80 degrees, it doesn't matter to me how hot it is. It just talk you out of fishing.
Yeah.
It's from now till October. It's going to be 80 something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's been about 4 years ago. I had a man catch a 29-inch trout that weighed 6 pounds 10 ounces, and the water temperature was 91 degrees, and I was in 2 feet of water catching redfish and caught that trout with those reds.
Wow.
And that's the hottest water that I can recall in the last 4 or 5 years when I was and we where we were catching fish.
Right.
The reds didn't care, and that trout was mixed in there with them, which was bizarre. Like I
Yeah,
said,
with it being that hot, especially. That's
well, like I said, you look at the temperature gauge and you don't believe it when it hits 90.
Yep.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, and it won't be long we'll be seeing more of that. I'm just hoping we can find a spot like we did last year, in the summertime, held those fish for us.
I don't think that's going to happen. We're not going to have that hiatus or that flight. Those fish that ran from all that dark water. We talking about the color of the water. The water's too clear, really, for me, all the way to Otter.
Yeah.
Or it's clear, and then there's some stain north of Otter, up all the way to Rock Island. There's some darker stain, and that's the area that I've been fishing in is in that stained water from I don't know Eagles Nest north.
Yeah, and for those of you that runs out of Finn Holloway, if you haven't been out there since we had those tornadoes, a few weeks ago, there's some new trees in the river. Be careful. You will hit them. There's one tree pretty much when you leave the boat ramp, that first curve, there's a new tree there. There's a new palm tree further down that's just under the surface. So be mindful of that if you run out of there. Joel gave me a report, said that they're catching good trout numbers out of Osceola area in 7 to 9 feet of water.
What are they doing in 7 and 9 feet of water? Bouncing?
Yes.
Probably bouncing gulp, knowing most of that crowd.
Yep. And so that might be the place to go fish.
I did it yesterday. It didn't help.
No, I meant Osceola.
Oh, well, yeah, go for it. Yeah. They weren't happy in that depth yesterday. I tried several breaks on those corners, and we didn't get them to play. But yesterday was a lot tougher bite than today.
Yeah. This weekend is going to be. I figure it's going to be tough. We're not going to have any wind. I think the morning tide, there's going to be about 1.5 foot water movement. And then the evenings going into after dark, there's about 3.5 feet of water movement. But most people's not going to be fishing then. So and there's no wind this weekend. So you might be better off going out snapper fishing.
There you go.
It's just that time of year, it's getting hot. We're going to catch fish, but it's going to be a grind.
It's a month early. We're getting July weather, and it's June the 7th.
Well, it's kind of like we predicted. We were a month behind up until a few weeks ago, and then bam, jumped right into summer.
Jumped the other way. Right. Well, the floating grass is unbelievable.
Yep.
It is absolutely. You can't hardly throw a jig for it. You get 1 out of 3 casts that's clean. It's
been unbelievable for a few weeks now.
Well, it's really bad right now. It's been blowing from offshore from the south for 4 days.
Yeah,
and it is piling up.
Piling up. I had someone call wanting to fish top water, and I said it ain't happening right now.
No. You couldn't possibly do it.
Yeah, so we got scallop season coming up, and for those of you who may not be aware, I think most people watching this probably is. Make sure you have all your gear, your divers down flags. Make sure you honor the divers down flags and not run wide open within 300 feet of a flag. You need to be idle. Terry Griggs says, "I will fish for flatheads and some fresh water for now." He texted me yesterday, I think it was, asked me how it was. Said he's debating whether to come down or catfish. I said, I'd catfish till mid October. uh, but I mean, last summer we had a good summer, but we had what, a few weeks before we located them, and it's like you said, we don't have that dark water that's gonna.
Help us.
Right.
Right. Well, I like I said, didn't make it to Rock Island, but I was south of it, and I wanted to keep going up there. But like I said, I caught some fish, and today I was going to head up that way, and we shortened the trip. So I'll be up there in a couple of days. I'm going to run up there and check out north of there and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do tomorrow yet. Um, I'll know about the time I turn the corner around that pier. I'll make a decision
Well,
which
if
way
it's
I'm
as
gonna
slick
go.
as it was this morning, you won't go south. I don't think you will. But everybody's welcome to do their own.
Yeah, but so pretty much what you predict the same pattern for the rest of summer, huh?
It's hard to say. 85, 86 degrees. We don't have a lot of play between that and as hot as it'll get. But I hate to say that out loud. Knock on wood. But yeah, I would think it's going to be the same. The better days, of course, will be when it's blowing. And as you said, there will be no wind this weekend. I'd start in 7 feet of water. I wouldn't stop till I got to it. And I would, if I had to fish shallower, I'd start in the deep and let it sweep me up onto the edges of those deeper water flats,
Right.
and not expect to catch very many fish per drift and make a lot of short drifts. So and move a lot is the key. Like I said, there were people down at the there were people that went by. Don was here for 4 days, and he talked to one guy that said they've been fishing down here for 30 something years. They caught one keeper trout each day for 3 days.
Mm,
And that's pretty dismal.
yeah.
Now, like I said, that grass is hampering them because it's as bad as it usually is in August right now. Um, as a matter of fact, it stopped my 150 with me running. I had to stop and clear it like it was a 9.9 in the hydrilla.
Ooh.
I ran 4,000 RPMs, and then it started, it cavitated, and I had to stop and back up. Like I was running a 9.9 in the pond. I said, well, I'm going to tell that on the day.
Uh,
On the podcast. Nobody would believe that.
but speaking of freshwater stuff, Captain Paul Tyre gave a report out of Lake Seminole. He said the bass are fired up.
Oh, yeah. I don't doubt that. I used to love to fish in hot. I bass fished for years out of Columbus, Georgia, and I used to love the summertime.
Yeah, he
When they're pulling, when it's hot, the hotter it is, the more they pull water. The more they pull water, the better the bass fishing.
yep.
I mean, the more turbines they run or water they let go. You fall anyway.
Yeah, and he was saying he had a client on the boat yesterday. Well, actually, it was last couple of days, and they seen a big bass um, hitting at some brim was coming out of the water, and the bass was hitting them, chasing them. So he tied on I can't remember what it was, a little top water plug, the 2-inch plug with blades on each propellers on each end. I forget what it was, but
Tiny torpedo, baby torpedo has them on one end.
yeah.
Crazy Shed has them on both sides.
And
Cordell Crazy Shed.
and he said that they she finally placed the plug in the right spot and ended up being 7.5 pound bass.
That's fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. And like you said, right now he's throwing the smaller profile because all them the brim are small.
Right.
And as it gets later in the summer into fall, he'll keep changing that profile bigger and bigger.
Right.
And it's no different than out here. You match what they want. You match the hatch, you're going to catch more fish.
You mentioned profile. Yesterday, I had Bert Diener of Waycross, Georgia, with me, and he had a double rig on. And I said, "Look at you, Bert. You reverting back to the '60s, throwing a double, two jigs. He had one, two jigs in tandem, And he threw his toys for a while, and I said, "Try put that P&V Laguna shrimp on there." And I got some out, and he rigged it up. And I think the third cast he caught a double. He had an 18-inch trout on the bottom and a 14 on the top. And I said, "Well, now you better quit because you're not going to do that again." 30 minutes later, he gave up. He didn't catch another. He caught some singles on the bottom one, but he never got another keeper. He caught shorts and whatever. But that one nice 18-inch fish and with a 14-incher on the top was good deal.
Yeah, like we were talking before we started the live video, I used to use those years ago, the Loves lures,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the time they had the old little curly tailed grubs on them, small ones.
Yeah, yeah. Steve Loves made a small feather tail, I call it, jig, and then he made that curl tail.
Yep.
And that feather one was the one that we fished with. I fished Crystal River with it and Tampa and some on the other side, on the Atlantic side, when we had a buddy when we got out of school, got out of USF, graduated. We fished Love lures down there out of Crystal River and caught a lot of doubles.
Oh yeah, that's where I fished with it, Crystal River, Homosassa.
Right.
That was a big lure there.
Right.
Hey, Jason Johnson said he's watching from Cherry Lake.
You catching any fish in Cherry Lake? Brim bedding's over.
Yep. Yeah, and speaking of like the Love's lures and all that, you don't see anyone really fishing with those smaller grubs anymore.
Well, no, they everything, all the swim baits and all, they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, marketing the bigger baits. But years ago they used to say that the average size food source for a speckled trout was a 4-inch bait, and three and a half, four, I forgot which one, but 3.5, 4-inch bait. And you know how many fish we've caught on 5 and 6-inch flukes is unbelievable. But they talked about how that was the best size, and I wondered if that was what the best selling was, or if that was what the best bite was. Because I've caught more big fish on a 5-inch shad than, unless it was in December, than any other shape.
Well, all these lure companies, they're in the business to catch the fishermen, not the fish.
Right.
That's
Right.
why we have so many colors, so many different profiles, and you catch fish on the
Well,
majority of them. I mean, color does make a difference. Profile does make a difference, but not to the extent of all the stuff you see out there.
well, you talked about curltail. I haven't thrown a curltail jig in 25 years. I just don't throw curltails. Pinfish are just irritate me and bite it off and swat at it. And, I don't fish them.
I used to go to the flea market and buy big bags of them, root beer color. You buy a giant bag, probably, I don't know, 200-300 baits in it for $5.
Yeah.
You won't do that anymore, but
Right. Junkie George, like they used to sell at Wilson's. We used to
yep.
catch them on the Junkie George. But we caught a lot of smaller fish because we could keep a lot of smaller fish.
Right.
12-inch limit back then.
Let's see. Yeah,
Well, that P&V has been an awfully good bait for me under the court, and like I said, Bert rigged it up double. He had 2 1/16 on there, and I kept telling him in that grass that was too light. But I fished a 1/8 today and caught fish. But I was throwing 5-inch stinky pink. I never tried a sea shad. I just stayed with the 5-inch.
I haven't thrown sea shad all year. Actually, I don't even think I threw it last year.
I fished it some early in the spring when we were fishing out deep. It drops quicker for the black sea bass and trout we were catching. The pink diamond, not pink diamond, the pink ghost and some stinky pink. But I hadn't thrown it in 6 weeks or better.
Yeah, I've thrown some other shads and stuff, but I haven't thrown those. If we find fish out deep, I probably will.
Yeah, it drops faster, and sometimes it triggers the blacks. Sometimes cause that swimming tail,
Right.
but and is as deep as when I'm in 10 and 12 feet of water. I want as big a target as I can for try to catch the bigger fish. You know, I'm not after numbers, but not arguing about it. It's a I'm just stuck on a 5 inch when I'm bouncing.
Right.
I put the sea shad on the cork some in the winter. I mean in the summer, but you can't throw a cork now and bounce it and pop it. There's too much grass to work a cork and grub in my mind from where I was the last 2 days.
Yeah, Jason Johnson said we used to catch lots of trout on white/pink flat tail grubs from Wilson's in large bags.
Well, those were the Junkie George copies of the Tom Mann's Stingray grub that you're talking about, and I did too. I bought them from Glenn, and I used to sort them out. The ones that were half flat, you know, they were seconds,
Yep.
and I'd match them up. A little bit pink, too much pink, not enough pink, whatever. And I caught a lot of trout on that white and pink. A lot of trout on that baby.
Yeah, like I said, you just don't. Z-Man makes some now that hold up, and I know people that use them. I have some in my bag, but um, they're the wrong color. They're orange.
Orange
I don't
catch a Spanish.
I don't know how. I think that's what I got them for. I can't even remember why I bought them, but I got a bunch of them.
I've seen the sail cats get on orange, and you couldn't throw it when we were catching Spanish on it, and then the sail cats take over orange gold.
I probably need to give those to Joel because he is a catfish king.
That's right. He eats sail cats. I think daily
Yeah,
at you know.
yeah.
We hadn't been bothered by sail cats too much. We had one bait slime today and one caught one catfish yesterday. So and I've been tickled with that because as hot as the water is, that's when you expect them to swarm you.
Yeah. If you can stand the slime, they aren't bad eating.
You keep selling that, but not to me.
Well, I told you I got tricked into trying it,
Right?
and Brandy I think took the first bite, and she liked it, so I had to try it. But
Hey,
it's the
if you give me an old cooler, I'll keep them for you, but I'm not putting them on my.
no, I don't need to keep them. We got plenty of flathead and channel cat and freezer. And, Brent's supposed to hop on at some point. He just texted me, asked when. I sent him the link so he can give us a report down there. But I just imagine I haven't been yet. I may try to go next week and try to get on some triple tail and snook.
I talked to a boy, forgotten where I was, that told me that he went down there and he caught 3 triple tail, 14, 17, and 22. That was last week.
Yeah, it's getting to be that time of year. You know, I just haven't decided where I'm gonna go yet. I may go to Apalachicola, and during the week.
He was at Cedar Key last week.
Yeah,
I can't remember who that was now.
you been catching any cobia?
Hadn't seen one. Hadn't been blasted by them. Hadn't seen one. Don had a small one that his grandson hung. It was an inch too short, and they got a good big. He got a big run out of him in 3.5 foot of water. That was 2 days ago. Tuesday, I think it was. Yeah, but I haven't seen one. But we didn't catch many trash fish at all. We caught short trout, but we hadn't caught many non-trout. Everything has been trout, trout, trout.
How many baits you been going through? Bunch.
Today we did not. No, today there was probably 30 baits in the front of the boat for 3 hours. For 4 hours for her, and that's about 3 hours fishing time because I'm running 30 minutes.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that's not too many baits.
No.
Um, we had I had put 120 in the box yesterday, counted 120, and probably had 10 in there when I started. So, and I probably put 75 back in the holding pen. They've been pretty easy to bite and easy to catch. I mean, but this time of year they usually are. That's this tide was a short tide this week on the front side, and that's going to get a little better this weekend for you as far as drawing it out. All your water movement's been in the fall,
Yeah.
and the breeze from the afternoon pushing in is the boat stopped moving, and you couldn't even catch a pinfish yesterday when it did that. So that was why everybody was coming in. Nobody was trying to hang around and fish. Once the water really started moving that way.
Right.
Of course, there hadn't been a lot of boats at the beach. People spent all their money on Memorial Day, I guess, and then they're saving up to go scalloping, I guess. So
Yeah.
this is that little dead zone before the storm.
That's why we normally go on vacation this time of year. Well, Brent hopped on. We got Captain Brent Woodard. How's it going, Brent?
I can't complain. I can't complain. How are y'all two doing, Mr. Pat, Kenny?
Good. Doing good, Brent.
Doing good. You got your boat back on the water?
Dude, I literally got the motor on it now. I was just
Nice.
fixing to ask the best tips for getting power pole oil off of your gel coat and everything, because I got it everywhere. I've done popped a couple, replaced the hoses and everything. But yeah, she's buttoned up, man. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna break it in. I'm gonna break it in on a trip in the morning, I guess.
What did you get? 115?
115, the Pro XS. Yep. End up going with the 115, and yeah, man. So far, so good. Got a brand new Bob's jack plate. The all new the Sea Star, all that stuff. Probably running the same prop you are, Kenny. The PowerTech. I don't know what pitch it is.
Do you have the do you have the command thrust or just the regular?
This is the command thrust. Yeah.
Yeah, probably the same prop then.
Yeah, this is the command. I think it is the same prop. It's the one that me, you, and Billy spoke about as well. So yeah, man, I'm excited to get her out there and see what she's doing, and hopefully go on the hunt for some trout, and some triple tail started moving in, and I'll be in Cedar Key tomorrow, so I'll be doing mainly trout fishing, and if we happen to go by one, if the wind's laid down enough, we'll triple tail fish for a little bit. Redfish bite's been no bueno in Cedar Key. Then it gets better the closer you get to Steinhatchee and Horseshoe. Pretty much gets a little bit better when you get up to Swanee, then a lot better when you get to Horseshoe, and so forth and so on. You know what I mean? They're starting to creep out to that grass and kind of get off of their creek mouth dill and all that stuff. And if you got a little rock pile that's far enough off, you can find them all the way out there pretty much.
Oh yeah.
That's
so
just of it for us.
What are you going to plan on using for trout?
Trout tomorrow, we'll probably we got a group trip, and two boats, but we'll probably start off early in the morning throwing whites and transitioning between white and glow. Then been doing really good on the stinky pink, and yeah, that'll be it, man. And then in Cedar Key, if they do want to go red fishing, we'll do cut mullet, and we'll go drown some cut mullet on the bottom, and hope for the best with that situation. Then with the triple tail, same thing. I don't even cut the cord. Triple tail, it depends on. Sometimes I'll cut that leader down. If you got like a 3, if the leader's over 24, 26, 27 inches, something like that, I'll cut it down and shorten it up just that way those triple tail don't get all gut hooked and everything. Because Kenny, just well as I do, half the people don't even know they got it on when when a triple tail eats, they don't even know half the time. So I'll try to shorten up the leader and train them through that. But yeah, a lot of lights, clears, and all that stuff for Cedar Key. Then Horseshoe, I got to run Horseshoe Saturday. I'll probably brighten things up a little bit and try to throw in some little bit of chartreuse and probably leaning more towards the glow once that sun gets up and gets beaming, and try to brighten things up a little bit. What color y'all been throwing?
Have you tried that glow gold yet from Assassin?
Nope.
Man,
Haven't even seen it.
You need to try that.
I haven't even seen it, to be honest with you.
Let me see if I have a picture one on here.
If Greens in Trenton, it's pretty much the way it goes for me, Kenny. If Greens in Trenton and Mr. Doug's in Cedar Key, if one of them don't have it, I either don't see it or I don't use it. You know what I mean? Which Greens is usually pretty good about keeping up with saltwater assassin stuff. So I'll have to take a look in there.
Yeah, you need to check that out because it's gold with it's glow with gold glitter.
That's okay. Yeah, that's what I was picturing in my head.
Yeah.
I'll
you
definitely
used that recently, Pat?
Yeah, we threw it yesterday. Caught some short trout on it in the PMV, but I like it in the 5-inch, straight up on the 5-inch with the cork and without the cork. I've caught fish on it. I've got some sea sheds, but I haven't thrown them. I've thrown the PMV and the 5-inch.
Yeah. What color have y'all been mainly throwing?
What do you say?
What color have mainly been throwing?
I've been throwing.
I wasn't listening, but y'all
he's been
probably
throwing Stinky Pink. I've been throwing a lot of Houdini, watermelon slice, Laguna shrimp.
Yeah, I know you love your watermelon this time of the year. I'll have to try that again. I always, not forget about it, but I always kind of forget about the watermelon. I'll have to try that tomorrow because those greens can do really, really good this time of the year. But I'm like Pat, that Stinky Pink, and what's that other color that's very similar to it? It's like a
pink ghost.
Pink ghost.
Yep. Those have been.
It's hard to beat.
Those have been pretty. Those have been pretty damn good for me in Cedar Key, especially. Then and Horseshoe, Horseshoe, like I said, just depends on whether you want to run north or south, man. It changes. It's literally night and day. You run north, you end up in water kind of like what y'all got, and if you run south, you end up in that just nasty red stuff. Still, because the Swanee's still dumping. You know what I mean? There's, the only ramps that you can really even use on the Swanee right now is at the mouth. So,
right.
There's probably some private ones like Sandy Point. I don't know what's a snook?
He's asking, what's the snook bite looking like?
I was just messing with him. It's been picking up in Cedar Key. Jason, I know he fished for him today, and he ended up catching 3 or 4 real good ones. He threw nothing but artificial all day. He had, once again, it kind of goes back to having a guy that can do that, right? Having a guy that can throw topwater for 3 hours until his arm falls off. And they had, I think they ended up catching 3 or 4, I can't remember, and lost 1 or 2 good ones on topwater. Most of their bites came on topwater, though. I do know that. Everything was 33, 34, 35 inches. Nothing was, I don't think anything was in the slot if I remember hearing them correctly.
They should be spawning here soon, right?
Yeah. They're doing that thing too. You know what I mean? They're kind of in their deeper spots in the channels and cuts. If you want to run that whole game and do that, you can get on some numbers usually. But those fish, as me and you've talked about, Kenny, are kind of picked on pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
I feel like most days you can do just as good running the bank, putting the trolling motor down and just going. But yeah, there's plenty of snook around.
Well, those fish on the bank aren't getting beat up as bad.
Nope. And especially right now with the biggest thing that's getting beat up on right now in Cedar Key is the trout, just because everybody knows, you know what I mean, that the redfish bite's just been so tough over there. So we, they're leaning on the trout a little harder. Typically, when you run a 4-hour trip, you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna get that last hour of high tide or that first hour of high tide or hour and a half, whatever I need to go get my redfish and go onto the trout. These guys are running all 6-hour trips on just trout, not even bothering with redfish.
So what's making the redfish bite so tough there right now?
I don't know, man. Usually, you know, I was saying back as far as Cedar Key goes, I was saying, you know, even before May, I was like, something's not right. The wintertime, well, hell, we talked about it last time, how nobody was catching them in the winter except for the guys on the airboats.
Yeah.
And even then it's not like they were going back there and having 30, 40 redfish days. They were just kind of getting by. But I was saying it before May, and that's what everybody's usually excuse is, like, oh, Cedar Key don't pop off until May. It's when May comes around, those fish will push in, and that's usually the good cat. You know, that May you can usually count on a good redfish bite, and then, you know, here comes May, and now we're into June, and it's still and don't get me wrong, I'm not like saying you go to Cedar Key and you don't catch a redfish. It's just you got to really get after it, put in your time, move, really soak the bait, and you can get away with getting your limit. But it's taken way longer. And as far as why, I don't know, man. That's a real good question. I will
Yeah.
say that a lot of those fish I feel like are like over, like a lot of those fish, like some of the best days I've ever had have been on like just one little oyster bar on the tip of an island way off. And
Like me and you typically do together this time of year down there.
Yeah. And those fish would just be super silver and super white, like they just came from being offshore. And so maybe a lot of those Cedar Key fish are kind of just schooling fish that just move up and down the coast, and maybe the red tide down south kind of had something to do with it. I really don't know, man. I mean, it's it could be a million different things, but like I said, poor trout, they've taken over the beating, that's for sure. Obviously you can't keep any snook right now, and so that's black, and same thing with the black drum, man. You could, you know, people love catching those, and
Oh
they're
yeah,
just
they're fun.
they're not there. I mean, they're there. Like I said, I don't want to say it's just like a total ghost town, but it's just not like it should be. It's not the typical Cedar Key fishing for me. So what have y'all been, how's the redfish bite been for y'all?
Redfish bite's been
I know the
decent for
trout
me.
bite's probably been pretty good for y'all as well.
No,
Oh really? It's been a little off.
we're in full summertime pattern.
Yeah. You seen any scallops yet?
Man, we've been seeing them since January. You know that.
I was about to say, everybody thinks we're relying on that one, but
I know.
You
got the pictures.
Oh yeah, they've been right there since duck season. And which, speaking of, I know it's a fishing report, but I think I told you the other day. No, I didn't tell you. Literally, me and Whitney was sitting out here, and you know where we live, and we were sitting out here 3 or 4 nights ago, and we had 2 whistling ducks fly over us. And like, it's bone dry, man. I mean, there ain't nothing out here. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? So maybe we'll get a chance to start killing some more of those. Maybe they'll start venturing to the coast or something for us.
Well, they're starting to take over pretty good.
They are, and I know me and you spoke about it. It's just, you know, you never really put it in two till you have one fly over your house, and you're like, huh.
Yeah. So, have you done any freshwater fishing lately?
No.
Probably not with that river the way it is.
Yeah, and I was talking with somebody about that the other day. Is you know, all the boat ramps being shut down, but you know, Mom lives on the river, and my brother's on the river, and pretty much all my family lives either on the river or right there on it. But Mom still has a pile of boats going by her house every day, so they're somehow getting on the river. I think, like I said, it's got to be the private ramps, so like Sandy Point, and you know, those little private ramps.
Yeah.
But a lot of the public ramps, I know for a fact Fanning is shut down, because I was just talking to my buddy about that. I know Fanning's still shut down, which Fanning's usually one of the last ones to open, I feel like. But the mouth is open, which, you know, there's usually a bunch of bass tournaments on the river this time of year. A lot of those guys get out of those lakes and start running those bass fishing tournaments. But no, I haven't messed with any of that. Need to. I need to go fish at my brother's house, because I know that would be this is usually the time of year we go, and it's So my brother's house, the river doesn't quite. It's not like the Swanee. You don't get it. It's more of a Florida runoff than it is a Georgia runoff. So my brother's house is totally different than mom's right now. But it's just so flooded and nasty right now, man. That it's like I said, there ain't too much going on the river. It's pretty much just Cedar Key one day for me and Horseshoe the next, and Cedar Key one day for me and Horseshoe the next.
You been doing any tarpon fishing?
No, haven't. I haven't had anybody that's wanted to put in the time or the money,
Has
but
that
they
major migration gone through? Because we usually see
they're
about
no,
the
they're
third week
there.
of
Yeah.
June.
So what I always tell people, like if I do get a phone call, um, it's first full moon of June is something you can usually count on.
Mhm.
I had a guy call me about it like a week or two ago wanting to go, but obviously the boat was down, so I couldn't put that together. But they're there. I know the last time I was in Cedar Key, I had one busting mullet literally right behind my boat. I mean, he wasn't huge. He's probably, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 pounds, but a tarpon's a tarpon.
Yeah.
But they're 100%. They're in the river right now. They're in Cedar Key. Like I said, just haven't been messing with them. I'll run one or two. Like I said, it's coming up, and I don't do a whole lot of that. And to be honest with you, I feel like if you really really want a giant, those are always caught up there by y'all, man. Like the big girls. I feel
Yeah,
like
you
you only
mean
hear about
by
one.
us? You mean Steenhatchee?
Steenhatchee, yeah, getting out towards that river and all that. What about cobia?
No, no.
See, that should be
Last year I had a great year with them. We landed 14 keepers last year.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that
Most
should be.
of those
I mean,
before scallop season, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
all of those were before scallop season.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
hadn't seen one.
Well, maybe everything's just kind of a little bit behind. I mean, like I said, but trout fishing's been great for us. It's been, like I said, then, um, and the black drummer in Horseshoe. So that, I mean, like I said, Horseshoe and piles of Spanish mackerel too.
Yeah,
Which
and
I'm,
for whatever reason, you guys have a better summertime trout bite,
yeah,
typically than we do.
yeah,
And I know it's because you guys have those deeper passes and cuts and
yeah, yep. I don't know what the water temp is. I haven't looked, but
Ask me
I
how
guarantee it. We're
he's
under
seeing
y'all.
bait schools.
yeah. Pat's asking if you're seeing any schools of bait.
Yeah, piles and piles of. I haven't seen any white. I haven't seen any white shrimp or anything, which is what I really like to see. But as far
Well,
as
I think those got wiped out on us.
they did. But as far as the glass minnows and everything, and all that, yeah, it's just they're everywhere. They're
See,
everywhere. Now, as
we're
far as
not seeing them.
pinfish, as far as pinfish goes, I don't, I don't set traps or do anything like that. But like I said, there's a good number of pinfish, I would say, but I haven't been running traps or anything.
Yeah.
But the glass, it's literally glass minnow. You can get up in my tower and look down, and it just looks. I mean, it looks just like there's almost grass floating. There's so many.
Yeah,
We hadn't got.
we haven't seen that yet this year.
We hadn't
Yeah.
gotten hardly any.
Yeah, we've seen a few schools of bait here and there, but they haven't made it yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
maybe that means they're on their way from you guys.
It is, man. It is. It's the age old. It's the age old kind of thing of determining it all, right? What's ahead and what's behind, and what's going on. Like I said, the weirdest thing with me, I would personally think would be, like I said, the redfish. And when I say Cedar Key, I don't mean just like bouncing around the islands either. I mean you can run your ass all the way to Wakasasa, and you don't.
Oh yeah, you and I
don't-
have done that a bunch.
Yeah, and like you should be able to bounce on those bars down there, even if you don't know what you're doing, and snag a couple good ones. And even the guys that really really run that Eastern Shore hard this time of the year, whether it's fly fishing or whatever, like I said, they're just not. They're not putting anything together. You get up towards Yankeetown, a little bit different story. So, and that like I said, that run is doable from Cedar Key to bouncing over to Wakasasa Bay and all that stuff, and Turtle Bay, but y'all know just as well as I do. All it takes is one of these afternoon thunderstorms that we sometimes get, and you're calling your wife to come pick you up at the Yankeetown boat ramp.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I put in at Swanee and end up caught in a storm and having to
Oh
go
yeah.
into Cedar Key and have lunch at a restaurant or something
Yep.
and hope it clears out.
Yep. It
Because that's a
happens.
nasty run. That run right there gets nasty between Swanee and Cedar Key.
Oh, it gets bad. It gets bad. But it'll,
Yeah.
like I said, and that could have something to do with it too, man. I don't know how many showers y'all been getting blown in the afternoon, but it's just so dry. It's that could have a lot to do with it as well. Just things being a little bit weird. I'm a little bit nervous about the red tide this year. I don't know why. I just kind of got a weird.
Because
weird,
you're a warrior.
huh?
Because you're a warrior.
Yeah, that's one thing. But no, it seems like it's hotter and just drier and just I don't know. Which I think with red tide, Pat could probably correct me on it, but I think you do got to have. Well, no, the fresh water cleans it out, don't it? Fresh water is a good thing for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, to cool that water down is a big
It
thing.
cools the water
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get that dry.
Slows that bloom down.
Yeah, when it gets dry and hot, that's. But I think we'll, like I said, I think we'll have. Which I know there was a couple blooms last year, but they were way off. And
way offshore.
Yeah, I never seen anything or from it personally inshore. But and y'all seen a lot of snapper guys running out right now?
Yeah, it's in full swing.
Yeah.
And there's a big shortage of snapper out there. Not like anyone's bringing limits to the dock. Yeah, George is out there now. Oh, he's back. Yeah, they do good. Yeah, I figure. I mean, they're everywhere out there.
Yeah, I wonder how far he ran.
Did he go with
Long ways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So Paul said, I saw bait boils about a week ago in Keaton when wind died for about 15 minutes. I was trying to see which fish were coming up on them, maybe blues or jacks. After the wind picked up again, I couldn't see them anymore. Yeah, could have been blues, could have been jacks, and then what's underneath that. Sometimes there'll be some redfish up underneath there.
Yep.
Just
trying to get. School I've ever seen in my life was under a school of jacks.
Yep. It's that time of year.
I mean, a redfish ain't nothing but really a catfish at the end of the day. So they're going to kind of be on the bottom picking up scraps and stuff. And
he's a catfish and drags. What I used to say. What did he say?
He said they're not a big catfish. Pat said they're a catfish and drag.
Yeah. Yep. That's really all they are. They're just missing the whiskers, but they just want to go along on the bottom. But yeah, and it was about this time of the year. We were I was having a slow day, and the people, and I was going to drive right past it because I thought it was ladyfish, and I was like, well, we've had a slow day. Let them, that's always my first goal is get the rods bent. So I pulled up there, and they hooked one or two, and after I think the second or third one, those jacks would come to the surface. It was way off. It was like as far as they could cast, and they were, the cork would go under, so they would go skimming, and I could see the jack just 6-7 inches, skimming right under the surface. And like I said, about that third one, I saw a redfish come up and try to eat the jack, and I ended up drifting right on top of him, and we ended up breaking off. And like I said, I think we pulled 1 or 2 reds out of it, and that was the end of that story. And like I said, that can usually when you break off in those bigger schools like that, especially with a popping cork, it kind of dumbs them up, and or smartens them up, I should say. And it was over from that point on. We sat there for another 15 minutes or 30 minutes trying to get one to eat, and I don't think we ever found them again. But it was one of the biggest schools I ever seen because, like I said, I made the dumb mistake of drifting right over them.
I don't know if you remember, it was maybe 2, maybe 3 years ago. I told you I was fishing out of Swanee, and we got into a bunch of jacks, and I was reeling in a jack. It was a client was reeling in a jack. It was about 15, 16 inches, and the biggest tarpon I've ever seen in my life came up and inhaled that jack.
Yep.
Right at the boat. I mean, huge. And there was nothing we could do. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Just
No.
wave bye-bye.
I
Yep.
didn't even know they would eat jacks, but that sucker came up, and Brandy was on the boat with us. It just came up and just inhaled that thing and took off. Probably about, I don't know, 6-8 feet off the boat when it inhaled it.
Been seeing a lot of those jacks get brought to the docks here this year too. I don't know if you've been seeing that.
People eating them.
I've seen that way more than I usually have.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to say it, but Paul said it was him. He's the one that hooked the jack, and that giant tarpon just inhaled that thing. But yeah, Paul, you probably remember that. Brent, no exaggeration. That tarpon was every bit of 200 pounds.
Oh, I guarantee it. Especially out there, being out there in that
yeah.
deep where you were.
Yeah, it was a giant.
And that's usually what I've come to learn. Like those tarpons, man, you like those big ones, like you're talking. they're usually loners. Like some of the biggest ones I've ever seen has just been rolling by themselves. They're not in like the passes, they're not in the river, and they're not in the deeper cuts and channels with the other 100 tarpon and 100.
We were on a big group of them. They were all bigger tarpon, not that big, but they were all bigger tarpon.
Yeah,
but we were
the like, and even the ones where I've been like trolling on a flat where it's real shallow and just had one swim by, and it's like by itself. Like those are generally big fish. Same thing can be said with the snook situation and the spawning deal. Like you will rarely catch a 40-inch fish, in those schools, which it could have something to do with snooks being the hermaphrodites or whatever they do, and I don't know what size they switch over and go from male to female or female to whatever they do. But generally speaking, like I said, those bigger schools of fish, they're going to be 34, 35 to, 38 is a big fish in those schools. But like anything 39, 40, 41, that's just going to be an old loner, man, up on an oyster bar by itself, just kind of baking in the sun.
Yeah, I want to get down there and do some. I'm ready for some nighttime snook fishing. It's hard for me to stay awake at night anymore because I like to sleep, but I haven't done any nighttime snook fishing in a while.
You didn't like to sleep when you were younger?
No, I didn't need sleep when I was younger.
Yeah, the sleeping's gotten extremely important for me these days. Extremely. It's a hell of a lot more important than a snook, I can tell you that.
Yeah. I just one of those things I've been itching to do again. But
they're there. They're there. Like I said, just you got to work for them a little harder than you did 2 years ago, 3 years ago around here. I don't, like I said, and that could be due to the hurricanes. And that's another thing. Like, who knows if the hurricane messed up all this stuff we're talking about?
It sounds like another good excuse to put in my box.
That's right. You gotta have them. You gotta have them lined up, man, for those bad days.
Yeah. Well, Brent, we're gonna hop off of here and.
Sounds good, buddy. I'm gonna hit this boat with some degreaser and get her ready for tomorrow, man. And
yeah, you ready for scallop season 2?
Yeah. We'll give it a go. We'll like I said, I had somebody book me. I had somebody book me a while back, and it might be the only one I got on the books. Which you know me, I don't like go crazy advertising that stuff. Pretty much every scalloping trip I do, a lot of times it's from you, or from one of you up there. But it's like I said, I'll stick. But she fished with me or scalloped with me before, and that's why. That's why I was texting you earlier. Do you have a swimming putt? I know you got both. You got dual power poles.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of what I did. I don't have a platform.
Okay. Yeah, because they had to take mine. They had to take mine off because I was like, well, if I'm getting a new motor, I might as well go ahead and get another bracket for the other side. So I ended up getting a dual bracket, and So yeah, now I don't have one. So I've been looking at the slimmer models. But yeah, definitely send me what you got, especially if you don't have to. Yours is not drilled into the boat or anything?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll show you what I have.
Okay.
But it is bolted to the transom. But yeah, it's basically a 3-step collapsible dive ladder
Okay.
without
Yeah.
a platform on it. But
And
I'm
I think
probably
that's all I need.
gonna get with Bradley English here soon because he just built one for Jim Rudd that looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'd really like one that would somehow bolt to your. And they probably got it that bolts to the brackets that Power Pole makes.
Bob's, I believe Bob's makes one.
Yeah, which that I ended up getting a Bob's jack plate. So if they got something that just bolts to it, that'd be nice as well.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well,
all right, fellas. Well, I'll let
we
y'all.
appreciate you
I'll
hopping
let y'all
on.
get back to it. Always, man. Always, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Take
All
care.
right, take care.
All right, see y'all.
Well,
Well,
you fishing tomorrow?
no, I'm off tomorrow, and then I got one this weekend, and then Monday or Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday.
Well, as always, we want to thank Stephanie,
Absolutely.
Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals, and you're pretty booked up for scallop season, right?
Some availability.
So she got some availability. So you book it now. You got some campsites. She has some availability there if you want to bring your campers, and a lot of products in this store. A lot of good seasonings behind us that I ended up having to buy some, but but we appreciate everyone tuning in, and we will see you first Thursday of next month.